In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai with a new session for you, dear friends. Tonight's lesson is about the context menu on this page. When we right-click, this is called the context menu. Try to notice that inside the context menu, when we open it, there are some settings related to the computer screen of a regular desktop. In the first category here, we have something called View, meaning the view or appearance of the computer screen. In the first section, which is View, it tells you here that our icons can be large, medium, or small. If we select large, the size of the icons becomes bigger. If we select medium, they become medium-sized. If we select small, they become smaller. If we want the icons to be even larger or even smaller than these sizes, we can use a keyboard shortcut. We hold down the Control key along with the mouse wheel, which is called the wheel. So when you scroll, you see that the size becomes even smaller or larger than the options listed. Any size you want. In the end, we come back. We say, I don't want the medium size, I want the default size that is usually set on the computer. We also have something called Auto Arrange, another thing called Align to Grid, and another one called Show Desktop Icons. Show Desktop Icons, well, is pretty self-explanatory. If it's unchecked, you won't see any desktop icons at all. It will only show the desktop background, that's it. But let's say we want these icons to be shown. So what do we do then? We need to leave it as is. There's also something called Auto Arrange. I mentioned this earlier in the previous demos. If this is disabled, we can arrange the icons however we want, move them around, and set them up as we like. But if it's enabled, then we can't do that anymore. Most people leave it like that, especially when someone else uses their computer, like Navid. If you move an icon from one place to another, it shouldn't change its position. But when you try to move something, you'll see that it just goes back to where it was. That's the reason for it. If we disable auto-arrange icons, then you can easily arrange them wherever you want. You can change their positions. As long as it's enabled, you can't do that. Align icons to grid is based on alignment. The grid does this for us. Align means it organizes their order. For example, we have a lesson about this called Align Manage, where if we have objects, we can arrange them vertically, horizontally, or left and right, making their spacing equal. If Align to Grid is off, we can place the icons wherever we want, but they should be based on the grid. With a vertical or horizontal grid, we can't just place an icon anywhere we want. For example, if we want to pick this up and put it in this section, I can't place it just anywhere here. I have to put it either in a horizontal cell or in a vertical cell. For example, we can't just do whatever we want wherever we like. Even if we wanted to go to this section, it simply won't work. But let's turn this off. We can tell it that we want to place it wherever we like, even up to here if we want. We can put it there. Tell it to be in this section. But if it's like this, I have to put it either in this cell or in that cell. That's it. Either in the form of horizontal cells or vertical cells. We can't just put it anywhere we want. But for now, we see that there's no problem. If it is active, Align to Grid will always align based on the grid, and it won't allow us to place something somewhere else against the grid. We have to align pixel by pixel within those horizontal and vertical grid cells. So that's why it works this way, and also, that's why we can't move things freely at all. Alright, in the second menu, we have the option to sort things, which is commonly used for icons. Sorting is also available in programs like Excel and Word. If you've ever worked with Excel and have some information about it, you'll know what I mean. For example, let's say we have something that we want to sort alphabetically. Or we have something like a date or a specific topic. Or we want to sort based on a text or content. For example, numbers. Or example, if you write 1, 2, and so on, and drag it down. Sometimes they get written automatically. There's no need for us to write them ourselves. Try to sort something. We have a feature called Sort. If we click on descending, you'll see the numbers go from highest to lowest, and if we select ascending, it sorts from the lowest number to the highest, from 1 to 6. It does this from 6 to the top as well. If we make a mistake, it has sorted from A to Z, from the beginning to the end. If we select the reverse, it sorts from Z to A. We've also done sorting in terms of the alphabet. In List, we can apply it to other topics as well. In the end, this is called sorting. But in Desktop View, we sort the icons. The only thing is that we sort by name. We can do it alphabetically or based on several other things. The purpose of sorting was to arrange things in order. Here we come to this point. Try this. If we select Sort by name, it will sort alphabetically. So how can we, like in Excel or the game we worked on earlier, create ascending and descending sorting? For that, we just double-click on the header. For now, this is sorted in ascending order. When you go down, it cycles between exclude. That means it's not included. Try not to accidentally put the folder in, otherwise it will show up until morning, just like in Excel, up to the last folders. If I click on the header again, it will sort in descending order. You can see that it brought the W up to the letter again. If we click on the header again, it sorts in ascending order again. If we select by size, it sorts based on the volume from smallest to largest. Folders that are heavy in size. They have a lot of capacity. They appear at the top or bottom, depending on whether we click again. How is it sorted right now? It has put the files with smaller sizes at the top for us, and those that take up more space, like Control Panel, My Computer, or other folders like these, are placed at the bottom. If I click on the header again, it sorts in the opposite order. These folders that have larger sizes are shown at the top, and the files and folders with less capacity are shown at the bottom. In the end, it sorts based on size. There's also the item types. It sorts according to the type. Mostly. For example, if we have 1, 2, or 3 Word files, or let's say we have another one, or maybe 2 or 3 Excel files. If these are, for instance, unordered, it tries to group files of the same type together so that they don't get scattered all over the screen, so that someone can easily find the file. For example, let's say we have a few PowerPoint files. We also have several Word and Excel files. Well, they're in different programs. For Photoshop, it's about lighting. I select these as well. We also arrange them all together. We make changes to them. We say, for example, move this PowerPoint here, and that one over there for us. We put the Excel file in this section, and we bring this PowerPoint here, and instead of this, we say Microsoft H. Well, nothing is grouped together, like a random mix. They're not categorized, not grouped. If we want to, for example, tell Zia to sort these by item type. Sort them by their family. Sort them by type. That means all the Word files are together. They should be together. The Excel files should be together. The PowerPoint files should be together. Overall, the files for each application should be grouped together. We select again. Item types. Now, when we sort by time, it shows, for example, PowerPoint and Excel in one place. The PowerPoints are somewhere else. The Words are somewhere else. I want a strong application that sorts everything for us by item type. And the modified view is based on the creation date. That is, a file that was created first appears at the top. The file we created last will be shown at the end. We can also do it the other way around. Just click on the header. In the modified view, it shows the files that were created earlier at the top, and the few files we created last at the bottom. Of course, if we click here again, it will reverse the order again. It will show the files we just created at the top, and the files created earlier at the bottom. This is what we previously referred to as ascending and descending. Here, what is mostly used is by name sorting, so it sorts for us alphabetically, and in ascending order, from A to Z. We have something called refresh. You already know what the refresh function does. Whenever we update something, install something, or do some task, afterwards we usually need to refresh to reopen the screen or the items, or to close them, or refresh them from there. The shortcut for it is also punch. We have something called paste, and after that, we have a shortcut for paste as well. These only work when we've copied something. If we haven't copied anything, the paste option is usually disabled in any program. For example, whether we're in Excel or Word, no matter which program we're in. Here, you can see the paste button is disabled, unless we copy something first. Then, paste becomes enabled. It's the same in Stock as well. Since I've copied something, paste is enabled. If you delete what you copied, you'll see that paste and the paste shortcut are disabled. So, what's the difference between them? The difference is that paste works like a regular copy-paste. The shortcut, on the other hand, pastes as a shortcut. A shortcut itself is kind of like a link, meaning, when we click on that link, it takes us there. It opens the original source file for us, paying attention to the actual file. For example, let's say we have a photo in this folder, like this photo, number 1. I right-click on it. I copy it, or just click on it. We say Ctrl+C, or here they call it copy, meaning copy, nothing else. It copies its address for you, but we want the actual file itself. Copy. When it's copied, we want to paste it here in this desktop. If we want to paste it as the original file, meaning it no longer has any dependency on the original file. It's like you have a folder. We make a copy of it. Now, they are no longer dependent on each other. If anything happens to one, the other will still work as its own separate copy. So, we select it and say paste. It pastes just that copy for us. How do we know that this file is a copy? This isn't a file that's dependent on the original to show its own icon. It doesn't have that little arrow on it anymore. If it does, then we know it's the original file. If it's a copy, it means it's been copied in such a way that it has no dependency on the original anymore. But if we tell it to paste as a shortcut, it pastes it as a shortcut. Shortcut files again get that little arrow on them. matey. Now, if we right-click on it, it doesn't really show us the difference. Even when we click on it, it just opens the file. If I click on it, it opens this file. Well, the difference is that this one is an original file and has no dependency on the main one. If the original gets deleted or anything happens to it, this is still a separate file. But with this one, you can tell from that little arrow. This one just redirects us to another location. For example, if I hover the cursor over this one, the screen tip shows the address right here because it's saved in this location. If I hover the cursor over this one, it doesn't work. It shows us. It says there's a folder called Animal MP3 Background. It was copied from there, and it shows the address from that location. So if we click on it, the focus goes there. It opens it from that location. Suppose the original file gets deleted, then we'll see that nothing should work. For example, I select this file. I tell it to delete. I say yes, close. Now, this file should work because the original file exists. It's a copy. But this file shouldn't work because the place it was opening from, those two files no longer exist there. Again, if this file still exists in the regular recycle bin, when we delete a file, it moves to the recycle bin. What do we do then? When we click on it, here, it tells us that the file you deleted is still available in the trash. If you want, or if it was deleted by mistake, you can restore it. You can do this for it. If you want to restore, or if you want to permanently delete it, this shortcut will be deleted from there as well. If we choose to restore, the same file will come back. Try to go to that folder. This picture has now returned, and now if I click on its shortcut, the shortcut works. Restoring also works after we've used the recycle bin, and it will be restored from there as well. This is the difference between a shortcut and a copy. When we copy a file, for example, we copy it and then paste it. If we want to undo the copy, undo will take us one step back. And if we select redo, it will take us one step forward again. We have undo and redo. It's the same for other actions too. For example, if we delete something. Yes, so I click again. Undo delete will take that item one step back. It will restore the deleted file. Control Z and Control Y are shortcuts. Control Z does undo. Control Y performs redo. You can see here it says redo. Now we have something else called Intel graphic settings. For the mouse, as a complement to the graphics we installed or the drivers we installed, graphics settings opens up, and later on, we have something here as well. When we get to that part, we'll work on it again. We can also open the mouse settings from the desktop using Intel graphic settings. Our computer's processor is Intel, and the graphics we installed also shows the relevant Intel graphics. Now we have something called New. In the New section, when we go there, for example, we have something, folder. If we want to create a folder at that moment, we create a folder. We click. We have two types of folders. One is a file folder. The other is a system folder. Just like the lessons we mentioned earlier in this video, I told you about the same thing that was left. Alright, let's go over it again. System folders are the folders that are created by the computer. Like my computer, like the recycle bin. Like, for example, my documents, downloads, my pictures, my videos. These folders are called system folders, which we did not create ourselves. The Windows we install already has them there. Then we also have file folders. When we create a folder ourselves based on our needs, we call it a file folder. To create these file folders, we right-click. We go to New. We click New. After that, give it a name. For example, you say, name it Ali for us. Give it a name. We press Enter. Okay, now the folder is saved with the name Ali. It is created. If we want to create another folder, we can do the same thing. There's something else we have. Sometimes there's a situation where you want to name a folder, but you don't know what name to get it right now. Again, it needs a name, or for example, it just stays as new folder and you can rename it later, because by default you can't leave it without a name. It would be nice if it could have no name at all, but we have to give it a name. But for now, that's not possible. If we press backspace to try to leave it nameless, it just goes back to new folder or picks another default name. Although, if we make a mistake again, we can still use Alt. Along with 0, 160, we can still do that action. We could tell it to make a folder completely without a name, but unless we use a trick, otherwise we can't do this. Similarly, another thing the computer doesn't allow is for us to tell it that we want two files with the same name. For example, sometimes it happens that we're working on a project with different contents that we want to keep in separate folders, and that's fine, but Windows doesn't allow this. Now, let's say we want a folder named Ali, but there's already one called Ali here. Still, we can tell it to ignore that and go ahead with what we're doing. We tell it Alt plus 0160. I want to name this one Ali. In the end, we can save several folders with the same name so that we have nameless folders, Or if we want 2 or 3 folders, we just add a space. For example, if we want to save a folder, again this system doesn't work. Our trick was to add a space using Alt plus 0160. Then later, I click on the one named Ali and we go to several folders with the same name. If we don't use this trick, we can't have a nameless folder in the desktop at all, or have several folders with the same name, and one of the folder's icons will get messed up. So if you have a lot of files, more than one, whenever you're working, you can just create a folder from here, and if you don't need it, you can delete it. And another thing we have is something called a shortcut. If we want to create a shortcut for something, like a program or a folder on the desktop, we can use this as well. There are also 2 easier ways to do this, but we can use this method as well. For example, let's say I have a folder in my computer, in the C drive or D drive. If I want to have a copy of that same folder on the desktop, let's see, there isn't a folder from before here. Like the nutrition benefit folder. So, for example, I want to do what with this folder on the desktop? Copy it. Now, just like before, we simply right-click and copy it. Then I come here and say paste using the shortcut. Or we can right-click as well. Or we can just directly tell it send to desktop. Or it can also create a shortcut for it. Or as we know, there are different methods in the end. But the simplest way, if we want, is to go to New from here. We go to Shortcut, and it asks what you want to create a shortcut for on the desktop. Is it a file? Is it a folder? Is it a program? This one is fine for us. It shows me the address. It says I go to my computer, then to the D drive. Okay, that's it, benefit. We want its name. Change it. So you click here. I say, let the name stay the same. Alright, if we want, that's fine. If we made a shortcut to the same folder on the desktop, it's exactly what we have in the folder. The command for the folder has also come up for us. So, we came here as a shortcut. If you delete the original, the shortcut won't work anymore. That means whenever we click, it shows us 2 addresses, where the address is from. The location of the nutrition benefit shows that it's inside drive D, in a folder called My Phone. This backup is inside that. This folder is called Benefit. So, that's the job of creating a shortcut. Below that, we have something else called files. If, for example, we want to go into a program and work there, we can go from here in an easier way. For example, someone might say, I have a Word file to work on. So inside Word, you need to create a new document. You make that file, or in Excel, or any other program. It works from there too. For example, let's say we want to create a file in Notepad. Notepad is called a text document. That is, we name it Assad and save it as such. And then you are inside that Notepad file and you can work however you want in the end. Or you can also say, I have a Word file to work on, or a set of Paint files. Access, for example, calls PowerPoint presentations, Relax Format, and WordPad. Excel, all of them are files. Let's select one. We tell Microsoft Word to say the file is enough. Now that file is saved as above. It's just that there is no content in it yet. Later, what can we do with the contents? We can create them. Well, finally, there's something called a compressed zip folder. A zip folder is a folder that has 2 features compared to a regular folder. We use these folders. But if we ever want to email a file to someone and our files are scattered around, for example, if the files are different types of files, if someone, for instance, tells you to send your CV, and you have 5 or 10 certificates, when we don't download them all, they can't receive them via email, and it takes up a lot of our time. Also, sometimes you can't attach too many files in some emails. So, we take all these files together. What do? We create a zip folder. Actually, zip in English literally means chain, which is what you do when you zip files together. Compress also means to make something smaller, because it serves 2 purposes. One of its functions is that when we put files into a folder, it turns them into a single file for us. That means, when we send it by email, the email thinks I am sending just one file. But in reality, it's not just one file, it's zipped. So when the recipient gets it, they have to unzip it again. They need to convert the files back to their normal state and then use them. This is one feature, and the second feature is coming up. It also takes up less space. For example, let's say I have a regular folder called A. I took these files, copy them, and then, between Z and 9, I create another folder called bzip folder, and I keep a copy of it inside this one as well. Now, let's go to the size section. In the size section, for example, this folder's file size is 16 kilobytes. And if we select it, you can see, for example, it's 12 kilobytes, which is even less. If we want, there are other ways too, but for now, with this method, you can see it's about 4 kilobytes in this file. So, what does this mean? Its capacity is smaller, and this is just a regular file, but we can't email it like this. But as a zip file, it works. Then, when someone receives the file and opens it, they have the option to extract it, so these files will be unpacked. They get extracted, they get unzipped, and then they can use them. These are the two features of a zip folder. If needed, we can recover another video that has become too large. For now, we'll stop at this point, and then we'll work with these three, or rather these two, along with the recycle bin, so that our video is exported and comes out properly. And finally, dear friends, I ask you that if the videos have been useful for you, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully see you in the next sessions. Goodbye.